I wanted to do a quick coffee chat. Yes, this is coffee. Second cup. And it's just afternoon. So, sorry, that's my work email going off. Um, I wanted to talk about um a little bit about anxiety. I have a um 2 day, 2 days um immersion with the Cherokee Nation language department that's going to be at Daybreak Star in Seattle tomorrow and Sunday. Today is Friday. I am actually recording this in between meetings. I'm supposed to be on my lunch, right? Um, the educators totally get that vibe, I'm sure. I'm having a tremendous amount of anxiety about this weekend. Um, being in person, particularly, which I'm really struggling with. I did the introductory version of this instruction last June, but I wasn't diagnosed with anxiety until mm, like the third or fourth week of September. And I'm I'm really having problems dealing with why is this bothering me so much? One of the instructors I've known since 2012. I Why is this bothering me? I have no idea. Um, is it because it's going to be in person and face to face? Um, maybe a little bit. I know everybody that's going to be there washes their hands. That's a huge anxiety thing for a lot of people since COVID. I live in a very blue collar town on the West Coast, and it is shocking what we learned in COVID. How many people didn't go to kindergarten, right? Coughs and sneezes spread diseases. And um just people who didn't pass high school biology, you know, Dr. Lister's germ theory has been proven medical fact since like 1876 or something like that, right? So these are not new things. However, I am confident they clean the facility appropriately. Um, everybody washes their hands, right? Um, I think part of my anxiety, ahead of the time is because, first of all, I have partial hearing loss from domestic violence. Um, there's a reason I wear a headset even to teach when I'm on Zoom. For another thing, my doctor has told me I need to do it because my laptop is 3 feet away from me and she doesn't want me shouting at the computer to make sure that Zoom picks up what I'm saying, right? In fact, let me see if we can turn this on. Now, this transcription, this captioning software is built into my Mac. It is not part of Zoom, but it's hilarious. Um, I used it for my asynchronous class lecture recently. And when I said the word in Cherokee for see you later, it translated it into English on this thing as don't let a donut go. Made me laugh. Um, what I said was donut gotta go hunting. See? Donut gotta go hunting. It's so it's um works well in English, not necessarily in other languages. Anyway, and I don't think it's just because of that. Now we're not going to be in the basement like we were last year, which is like just a huge. They have powwows, not powwows necessarily in there that I know of. They have vendors and tables and stuff that they have set up in there. We're going to be in an upstairs conference room this year, which may be better as far as my hearing goes. My problem is tracking. So if they're bouncing around asking people questions and everything, I'm worried about how my tracking abilities are going to be, because that is the primary way that my anxiety is presenting. And you can see my sweet rescue kitty is taking a nap over there. I would not even dream of taking him anywhere like that. He has anxiety too. He's very jumpy. We're a good match. So it's, I've had to let my students know, you are not going to be able to get a hold of me this weekend. If you have a very urgent question, you're going to have to text me, and I won't be getting back to you until dinner time, because it takes, oh Lord. If there's a Mariner game, I better check. Well, coming back, it won't make any difference. I don't care how long it takes me to get home. I just want to get up there in a timely manner, right? So there's a lot of things that have happened in my life since I did this introductory class last June. I've had some trauma from discrimination from professors in classes I am enrolled in at Arizona State University. I've had discrimination from fellow students who have commented in my discussions and stuff and told me I am stupid for including any of my native language in my assignments. You bet I reported all of that. It doesn't necessarily remove the traumatic impact, right? It helps you deal with it better. These are things we have to keep in mind when we're teaching our students. We need to ask questions and make sure that we're not traumatizing our students, right? It's difficult to do that because they may be traumatized from an experience that we've never even had to think about. And I've had that happen. I've had students who were traumatized when they were presented with an English 100 or English 101 worksheet because their high school didn't do worksheets. And they just totally shut down. And then trying to get them to do, set that assignment aside for a bit. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to give you late points. Go talk to the writing center or the tutor or whatever and get going on your other assignments. It's still difficult once you have that visceral reaction to set that aside and go do the other assignments, right? So I think I'm maybe gonna need to have a talk with both of the instructors, not just the one that I've known since 2012, and just say, hey, I've got these issues. Because then I knew I was going to have, like right after that class last year, I found out that I was going to have breast cancer surgery. And that's a recurrence, not a first surgery. And then trying to get me stabilized on what kind of medication, not just finding medication last fall, for what's going to work for my anxiety. But then the estrogen blockers and stuff in January, we lost two of our cats last summer, an extremely elderly one, and then the Maine Coon just grieved himself to death because he'd never gotten along with another cat before in his life. He had anger issues from being abused. And then my dad had a heart attack in December, and they didn't think he was going to make it until New Year's. He actually passed away in his sleep the first week of March. So it's good that he went peacefully, but that's still been something very hard to deal with. Just because it leaves such a hole in your family when somebody passes. I think it's a different kind of hole when it's a child, because I've buried one of my kids. It's not the same as when your parent dies. That's an entirely different kind of hole that's left in the family. So that's a lot of stuff to happen in less than a year. It certainly explains the anxiety that I have now, right? Because it's all from different directions. And I just felt like somebody was pummeling me with snowballs from here and there and over there and over there, right? But how, I guess my concern for the weekend is being fully present in those lessons. I want to make sure that I absorb as much as possible from the immersion, that I am fully participating in the question and response to practice speaking the language in a place where I can have the pronunciation corrected, because Cherokee has 7 different tones. I grew up in the land of my ancestors, so I know how like the rivers and everything are pronounced. So I kind of have an inside in an inside thing for that the other attendees don't have, right? But still, I'm really worried about getting over this next hump in my language learning to really start to substantially move forward in retaining and using the language, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So that is all for this week. I'm going to go finish my coffee, get a bite of lunch before my next meeting, and I will update with a report on how this weekend went. So I will see you guys next time, and let's see how this translates at this time. Dona da go ha'i. I'll see you guys later. Get out. Oh, that's hilarious. All right. See you guys.